Well, some time ago, you heard from Ellie, who was going to be traveling to Boston to be involved in missions, and she came back, and today we get to hear from her and to hear what she did and what God has taught her. So let me invite Ellie, and she'll share with us today.
Hello? Oh, okay. So, as you may remember, my name is Ellie. I went to Boston on a mission trip with my school, People's Christian Academy, and as things worked out, here I am sharing almost a month later, but better late than never. Also, Pastor William is giving me 10 minutes, so if I talk kind of fast, that's why. So, let's start with the place our team stayed, next slide, which was called Lighthouse Fellowship Church. As you can see, it kind of looks like a medieval castle. We didn't really know what to expect. Some of us got lost on the way there. The basement where we slept was super cold the first night because none of us knew how to work the thermostat, but that did not get in our way. So over the course of the week, we got to play games, have a potluck, and share stories with the church. Our worship team and chaplain, who came on the trip with us, also led their Sunday service. They have a really nice chapel with stained glass windows and everything. They also have a bell tower, and all the members of our team got to pull the rope and ring the bell before service, so that was pretty cool. And as for the body of Christ that was there, from the very beginning, obviously our team was expecting some amount of hospitality, I guess you could call it, but we were just overwhelmed with the sheer level of, overflowing love that they gave us. At their Sunday service, the pastor referred to our team as family from out of town, and that was just so touching and inspiring, especially because they treated us like it throughout the whole week. I can't do it justice with words, but our team was so blessed, and it was so amazing to see the body of Christ there. Next slide. So during the week, we went downtown, and we went to Boston and Northeastern University to evangelize. We partnered with this thing called Open Air Campaigners, and two of their leaders, Chris and Eric, they're up there, came with us. So we handed out pamphlets, and we used riddle boards and surveys. And the main thing we did was leading up to the question, what do you think happens after death? Which is how we moved into talking about Christianity. So we always talk about stepping out of our comfort zones, but I think missions really shoves you out. And I think that's a good thing, because when you have no idea what's going on, you really have no choice but to surrender everything to God. And I was forced to focus on why I was actually there and why I was approaching random strangers on the street and trying to Jesus them, and it's for a purpose that's so much greater than my worries. So that was my main motivation. That's just not to say I didn't have rejections and mistakes. I did. For example, so I don't know if you guys know this, but Boston people have an accent, especially the older people. They drop all their R's. So park turns into pock, and car turns into caw. And when I was talking to someone with a particularly strong accent on the street, I just slipped into copying it without even realizing. It was bad. But the conversations I had were so worth it. I was nervous about people being rude and disrespectful, but everyone was respectful and open, even if we didn't see eye to eye. And what I realized is that most people are a lot more willing to listen than we think, but they'll never get the chance to listen if we don't take the chance to tell them. And because I did take the chance to tell them, I talked to so many people. I talked to a woman from the Church of Latter-day Saints about the spirit realm. I met other Christian teens, and we had prayer huddles right there on the street. I had a couple debates that went for almost an hour. I don't know how that happened. But it was eye-opening to realize that all these people's lives are so different from mine, but that God's work remains exactly the same. For example, an atheist I talked to, and she was really firm in her belief that there was no God. She says she reads the Bible a lot, and she's read it from cover to cover several times, which is more than I can say for myself. And that's because she thinks it's good reading. But that was just so cool to see that she's unknowingly opening herself to the voice of God day after day. And I talked to another very staunch Muslim, and he has a Christian roommate in his university. And they have discussions really often about their faith. So that was so cool to see. And the funny thing is that they have no idea how God is moving in their lives. And I'm just so excited to see where that takes them. Next slide. We also ran a kids camp, just an hour and a half long for 5 days for the week we were there. The plan for each day was a hangman Bible verse, a song, an object lesson, a Bible lesson, and then a game. So unlike street evangelism, when I heard that we would be doing a kids camp, I didn't really expect much of it. I've done a lot of VBSs before, so I didn't really see how it would be any different. The only thing I was concerned about were whether the kids would be willing to participate. So when we got there, how it worked was we headed to the local park, which was just a minute walk away from the church. There were a lot of kids on the playground, so we basically tried to go over and persuade them to come over. We also had the names and addresses of some of the kids that went to the camp last year, so we went door to door inviting them to come again. So it was a long story, but basically me and another girl ended up on our own because our chaperone went to go get the car. So we were wandering around trying to look for the address, and when we finally got to it, there were like 7 kids on the stairs, and they all like turned towards us in unison, and they all screamed, "There they are!" So I was like, what on earth? So apparently they'd all come to the camp last year, and they've been trying to convince their parents to let them go again, and they were expecting someone like us to come to bring them to the camp. So that was really cool. And then their mom said yes, and they all basically like leaped off the stairs, and because we were late, we all ran to the park together. So that was my first taste of their enthusiasm, and it didn't stop there. During the lesson, they were constantly raising their hands, and even those who were quiet at first, understandably, participated more and more throughout the week. We had like 40-something kids in total attend the camp throughout the week, and they had such incredible like warmth and open hearts and affection towards us, and it really put me in awe of what a childlike faith looks like, and just a desire to reach them for his kingdom, and that even though they can't truly understand the depth of Christianity, that they were already so interested, and yeah, it was something different about them. That was really cool. Next slide. So our team wasn't alone in doing all of this. At Lighthouse Fellowship Church, there's another smaller church called Ember. They only started last November, and they've been using the church space there. So they have a youth group, and our team got introduced to them on the first day, and we immediately connected. On the first night, we made pizzas together, we talked and played throughout the week, and they actually ended up joining us to go evangelizing and also at the kids' camp. So they had such a heart to serve too. And we grew so close in such a short time. At their youth group on Friday, which was the day before we left, we had worship together, so we screamed, we jumped up and down, we prayed together, and because we also had pool noodles, the story of how we acquired them is another one. You can ask me after service if you want. We ended up fighting each other with the pool noodles for almost an hour. It really didn't feel that long, but there's something about getting sweaty and slightly violent with a bunch of kids your age that does bring you together, and also that in all of our conversations, God was so present. Even in the jokes and in the games, like, God was just a normal part of what brought us together, and that was so amazing. Next slide. So besides all of that, our team also had lots of fun on our own. We ate very well. The church actually fed us several times, which was so heartwarming. We had Raising Cane's, we had Chick-fil-A. We toured the city on our last day, and on Wednesday night, we went to Fenway Park, and we watched the Yankees versus the Sox. The Sox lost. We also tried to get on the Jumbotron 9 times, and we failed 9 times. But our team just grew so close and united throughout the week. We were actually singing My Lighthouse with the actions as we were walking into the stadium. We shared testimonies for more than 3 hours. We now have all these inside jokes and nicknames among each other. And one night we stayed up until 2 a.m. having one-on-one deep talks with people and telling them what we appreciate about them, just encouraging them and how we see God moving in them. And that was so powerful. We laughed and we cried, and the next day we all had swollen eyes and hoarse voices. And it was great, because I feel like in daily life, we don't really get a chance to be vulnerable or tell the people around us how much we love them. And it's so cool when you finally get to. So initially, I knew no one on my Boston team. I did have 3 friends who also applied for missions and got in, but they were in the other team. So I knew no one on my team. And I was kind of worried, but I really had no reason to. I can say that our team has grown into a true family, and I know that wouldn't be possible without God. I know you probably don't believe me when I say that we're a true family, and maybe that's a good thing, because that's just how special the things God can do to bring people together. Like, even though the trip is over, our whole team still gets together once a week to share and pray. And just to think that months ago we didn't even know each other, it's just amazing. So I must wrap up, so I'm going to outline 3 quick takeaways from the trip. The first one is the sheer power of prayer. Sounds like a Sunday school answer, But one thing that really got ingrained to me during the trip was to first be prayerful and then take action, knowing that God is the one ultimately leading me. For example, I had such anxiety when we were driving downtown to do street evangelism. I am a huge overthinker, so I tend to catastrophize and spiral a lot. So in the van, I was just praying on my own for like 10 minutes or so. And when I got out of the van, it was like all the anxiety just completely disappeared. And I was able to talk to people with total comfort and peace of mind. It's so hard to describe, but something like this has never happened before. I'm just so used to getting sucked down in my own thoughts, but this time they just all like went away, and I was able to completely focus on the task at hand. And that was so weird and awesome. Another example was how for some of the week the days were cloudy and rainy. It was kind of depressing. No one likes bad weather. So we all huddled together as a team, and we were like, God, please let us have good weather tomorrow. And the next day was blindingly bright and sunny. Coincidence? I think not. The second takeaway I got was that God is working everywhere. In the youth group on Friday night, they had a panel of about 6 Boston members, and we basically took questions from the youth and from the youth leader. One of them was, in one sentence, what is your main takeaway from the trip? And that was hard for me because I love to yap, and I love to elaborate and explain. But in one sentence, actually 2 words, the main theme of this trip for me was that he's here. Because it's so easy to feel distant from God because life is just so busy. I think we can all resonate with that. But this trip reminded me that it's not that God isn't present, it's that we don't bother looking for him. But on this trip, he kind of got in my face all the time. So I was always like, oh, hi, God, here you are. And then I see you here too. And I see you over here too. And I learned that in laughter and tears, and rain and sun, and reflective silence, and in shouts of praise, there is never a moment in creation that doesn't reflect its creator. And he truly never leaves his children's sides. He's also really, really powerful. Our God is a God who is able to calm fears, bring people who have nothing in common together, give me words I didn't know I had, and shine his strength through my weakness. The last thing I took away was the importance of continuing to bear fruit. So it was just a week we spent there. Feels like so much longer, also so much shorter, and returning to regular life has been hard. I think for me it's just that I went from such a spiritual high to this, and everything just seems so meaningless, I guess. One of the reasons I applied for missions at all is that I was sick of doing the same thing day after day, and I thought there has to be more than life than this. And the trip showed me that yes, there is, and the trick now is taking that and learning how to apply it to my normal life to serve those around me. And really find God's extraordinary in my ordinary. Because I've experienced what it's like to work as one united body of Christ, to plant seeds and do what we are here on this earth to do. And that was so amazing. And I hope that I'll be able to continue to do that here. I'm going to make a big statement that this trip was life-changing. And it was the best week of my short 15 years here on earth. But I mean it. It's different from a retreat or a vacation because there's something just so unexplainably fulfilling about the focusing on others and serving others that actually fulfills you more. So on that note, if any of you are currently being faced with an opportunity to serve, I'm only a 15-year-old girl. I don't really know anything. But if you're on the fence about whether or not you should serve, take the opportunity because you really have no idea what God is going to do. Because even when we can't see it, and even when we can't feel it, he is moving hearts, and he is changing lives. He really is here right among us, and he's working. Thank you.
Wow. That was... Wow. You heard her. Serve. If you're on the fence, don't be. Thank you, Ellie. That was truly encouraging. And I hope it was for everyone here, too, that it convicts you and affirms for you that the work of God can be done in the ordinary life, wherever you are, wherever God calls you to be. So, I hope that encourages you.